Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Music Made Addictz in these strange times. But we got a special guest for you guys, Phuture Noize. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Doing fine?
How are you?
Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah, due to the circumstances, I feel quite all right.
Yeah.
Too bad the weather is getting shittier.
Yeah. The weather is getting a bit shittier, but it was really good the last few weeks.
Yeah, we had a lot of luck. But I was also reminiscing all the festivals we were missing with the nice weather, King's Day, and I was like, sometimes it's hard to be a DJ.
Yeah. Well, King's Day was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as on this King's Day, I went just sat down at home with some friends and stuff. And it was so weird that normally, I mean, King's Day is one of these days every year where we go out with a couple of friends and drive around the country, do all these gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then have like a crazy after party at home and stuff like that. And now it's like just nothing at all. But I sat down with my brother and we had drinks until 5 a.m. as well. So still kind of had the same King's Day feeling, but completely different.
The level of drunkenness was the same, but...
yeah. Oh man, hangover was intense. For real.
It was the first King's Day in ages that it was beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Last year it was hail, rain, and windy.
It was really cold.
It was really cold.
Yeah.
And now it was like beautiful weather. What can you do?
What can you do? We have to deal with these things that are happening to the world right now. But we're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
And
Thank
to start off the show, we would like to ask you, how do you get addicted to this music?
Well, that's a while ago, actually. When I was, I think, 12 years old or 13 years old, I was playing keyboard lessons. I was doing keyboard lessons, and I wanted to connect my keyboard to the computer and record the stuff that I was playing. And I wasn't like much of an electronic music fan at that point, but I found out about Cubase, the software program to record the stuff in. And then I don't know how, but I also got interested in electronic music as well around the same time that I found out the software, because it was really interesting on how that stuff works and shit. And then I don't know why, but I clicked on all these electronic artists on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace?
I remember that.
You had like this web player with like I don't know, you could upload like 6 or 7 songs, and all the artists were then.
You had one fan, Tom. Do you remember Tom?
The MySpace guy. The MySpace guy. Yeah, exactly. And back then, you could upload, I think, 6 songs if you had a page or an artist page. I'm not sure how it worked anymore, but so everyone was uploading their best songs at that point, especially hardstyle artists, because one of these platforms were the only way how they can promote themselves online. And I don't know, I found a couple of hardstyle artists. I think I found you guys, Headhunters, and Donkey Rollers and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. This is like intensity of, you know, real aggressive dance music, but also the musical wise, it's like interesting. You can do a lot of orchestral stuff in there and stuff like that. And it was really interesting to me, especially when I was just 13 years old, finding out, you know, wanting to record stuff on the computer.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Like MySpace, that feels like ages ago already.
Well, it is almost ages ago, because I think we're talking now 13 years. 13. So, I mean, that's still 13 years. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. But when we started, there was no social media.
No, yeah, like MySpace was one of the first, I think.
Yeah.
That you can really use as an artist to promote your...
And Hives came after that. In the Netherlands, at
Hives,
least.
Yeah.
You had MySpace, and then Hives, and then Facebook, I think, started out.
And then it was done for MySpace and the Hives. Yeah,
I can still remember those times that we were so upset that we chose these names, because for us on social media to find D-Block and Estefan with all the stripes and the N mark, you know, it was hell. And then we decided to use DBSTF as a
for the social media.
As a social media name.
It was easier to find. Well, that's pretty cool. But like you said, I remember that same feeling. I really love that energy, aggressiveness from hardstyle. But we missed really the emotion back in the day when we started. There was
even way before Headhunters and you guys and Donkey Rollers went really bad. Donkey Rollers is older, but still, I mean, but that era was when I started listening, and then it was at that point already very melodic.
Yeah, it was really melodic back in the day, and I think that's the beauty of hardstyle. It's got a really kind of theoretical, movie-wise emotion to it, but still a lot of energy. So I really love that combination with that.
Yeah, but you said you were doing piano lessons already?
Yeah, keyboard lessons.
Keyboard lessons.
I mean, I needed to do some piano songs. I think I remember I needed to learn how to play Phuture Noize and that kind of stuff, but also just, you know, pop music at that point. But I was experimenting, you know, I had this Yamaha keyboard, like with all these presets on there, with these shitty samples, you know what I mean? And then I was playing some synths on there, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a pretty cool melody. Let's record that. And I was a very big nerd. I still am, but I was a very big nerd back in the day. So I wanted to figure out how to record it on the computer and maybe, you know, make a song out of it or something. Yeah. And I have no idea how it works. So I came across all the software by just Googling it.
Because did you start it right away with producing hardstyle, or did you try out some different music before?
I tried stupid stuff, just whatever stuff. Not really a genre or anything. I wasn't planning on, you know, being a successful producer or anything. I was just wanting to record my stuff. And when I found about hardstyle, it was around the same time. So I started listening to more hardstyle, and then just naturally I started, you know, making hardstyle. And I had no idea about mix intros and stuff like that. So I was just, you know, putting random stuff together and stuff like that. And then after I finished like one of my first songs, I remember, and then a guy said me like, oh, it sounds not bad, but you need a mix intro to get it played. And then I made a mix intro, and I completely miscounted the beats. So it was like 4 beats or 4 bars short, and that kind of like, you know, that was how much of an expert I was at that point.
But you started with another guy, right?
Yeah,
with Phuture Noize. Yeah. How did that start it? And how did you end up by yourself?
Yeah, well, it's when I was 14, 15 years old, so a couple of years later, when I started getting more into like serious production, when I really figured out like, oh, this is, you know, the thing for me to do. Then I met the other guy as well. My brother was friends with him or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how we met again, but it was kind of like we were just, you know, friends seeing each other in the cafes and stuff like that. And then we started talking about the same passion we had about hardstyle. And we just decided to do it as a hobby together and see where it goes. And then after a while, I wanted to, you know, for myself, after my bachelor degree, I wanted to go, you know, full-time, full producer. And before that, when I made a decision in my mind, I think 2 years before I graduated, I was like, if I want to do this professionally with him, we need to be like completely on the same wavelength, completely all the way. Yeah. Let's go for it. And when we had a couple of talks, I'm not sure how it was for him, but I at least realized like, oh, I don't think this is like the best way to start this collaboration full-time, fully professionally. And let's go from here, because I had a lot of ideas and visions, and they didn't really align with what he was thinking and what he was doing at that point. So I decided like I should move on solo, and that's what happened. And we didn't have any fights or anything like that, but we just you know, decided like, oh, if you want to do this, just full-time, go ahead and do your own thing. What's best for you.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that before the show. Like, if you want to accomplish something, I think you have to do it for the full 100%.
Yeah, and also have a clear vision in mind, which way to go, you know? I mean, it's so important to know where you're heading, because the future is not really bright when you are going to start being an artist just or a producer. No, but I mean, like we did in the first 2-3 years. I mean, we went to the studio of Diederik's father at night at like 10 p.m. And then we left there at 7 a.m. in the morning to go to school or to go to work. It's so dedicated, and there's so much passion in it, and you have to have a vision where you want to go, because if you don't have that, then it's all blurry, and then you will never achieve something. And I think that's
exactly, and that's what I would thought as well. Because if you want to, you know, be successful at being a musician or an artist, you need to live it. And I mean, it needs to be your life. And if it's not your life, and if it's just like a thing on the side, like your job, then I'm pretty sure everyone else is just gonna, you know, be better than you, because you don't have the passion in there, and that's what you need. You need to grow. You need to keep evolving. You need to keep getting better and stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta learn. Keep on learning. We learn every day, basically, and still after 15 years we try to learn new things, new programs, new plugins, new artists, you know. And because I always have the feeling otherwise there will be a young kid of 16 who can do in 2 days what I'm doing in a month or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel when I'm playing Call of Duty as well.
Let's talk about Call of Duty. Are you still playing it?
No. That's what I feel like if I'm playing online games nowadays. I mean, I was quite a gamer back in the days, but nowadays not so much because I'm spending so much time in music and stuff like that. It occupies all of my time. But I used to be like that 6-year-old kid sitting there playing 8 hours a day, being way too good at it. And then 2 years later, a new game comes on, and then you need to get good at that one. It's kind of like the same. So I don't really play the games anymore because I don't think it's fun that, you play around for fun and then a 16-year-old guy comes along and just completely kills you.
Yeah,
and
if they're already 16. I have to say, I started out playing Call of Duty again.
Oh, really?
During these quarantine
I get what you mean. I mean,
I was like, okay, it's a cool way to interact with some friends and talk with them while shooting. While you normally sit in a cafe and have a drink and talk together, now you just shoot a bit. But it's more for fun than really to go straight forward.
So you start off like doing a PlayStation party and then just sit together.
Yeah, we're just going to a PlayStation party. And
that's cool that you can just communicate through that nowadays.
Yeah, because nowadays you sit at home so much, especially in the nighttime, like when you did all your work, and it's more like entertainment than like a fully.
Yeah, you want to get good at it.
Yeah, I mean, not even that, but just entertain yourself and talk with some friends while shooting, and it could be anything. It could, for example, be FIFA, or it could also be a phone call or a FaceTime call. But now you just do it like on PlayStation. Yeah,
we have like this meeting room with friends as well. Like one of these tools that you use nowadays to have meetings, and you can just sit there in a Friday evening and drink with.
Have a drink,
exactly. It's not too bad actually. Yeah. I mean, it's better than nothing at all, and I'm quite happy that we have this quarantine like now.
Yeah, right
if it
now,
was like 20 years ago, it was going to be
really
like
hard,
pretty difficult.
And
I'm not sure how people actually going to respond to it. Like.
Yeah, it's crazy times, but you have to make the best of it, I guess. And for me, I talked about it last month as well. I had some difficulties also with creativity because the whole flow where you're in as an artist, you break that when something like this happens, and it was like a really hard reset. But you actually chose to do a hard reset.
Yeah. Exactly, because I wanted to spend time more learning more stuff that I was interested in at that point, and getting better at stuff that I simply didn't have the time before to experience and explore when I was doing like all these bookings every weekend. Because when you do all these bookings every week, it's really good, but I always needed like the Monday off to, get back on, a decent level of energy. Then on a Tuesday, you go to the studio. And on a Thursday and a Wednesday, you have like pretty good studio days. And then on a Friday, I mean, you're already focused on the weekend again. Yeah. So you have like 3 days every week where you have the time to do decent production work. And most of the times, when I was doing that, at least, I was so focused on, creating tunes that I knew that were going to work on the dance floor instead of exploring something new for myself. So that's why I decided that I wanted to, take some time off and think about how to improve my style into something new that I love. And I also started studying some, classical composition and harmony theory and stuff like that. So that I finally had the time to do that kind of stuff. And it's really interesting, and it made me a lot better, and it made me able to work a lot faster. And that's really nice because I also wanted to work with a lot of singer-songwriters for the album. And these sessions are pretty intense. I'm pretty sure I mean, you sit down and everything needs to come together in like an 8-hour period of time because you simply I ain't gonna sit down for weeks to write a song with these people because they have other things to do as well, just like you. So you need to be really quick to be able to write like a good song with these guys. So that's what I wanted to learn as well. So get as much theory in my mind about music so I could sit down, and if we want this emotion, I just exactly know how to put that down on paper as soon as possible.
Do you also think because nobody hasn't heard the album yet, do you think the music that you made on this album is a lot different from the music you made before because you made this decision?
Yes and no, because it's different. It's a lot different in terms of like structure. Like I said, I wrote a lot of songs that I normally wouldn't really write a lot of songs. I did a lot of, spoken word stuff with the same kind of depth that these songs have now on my album. But now they are just, singing stuff. And I really wanted to make the music still be able to really work well on the dance floor. So I needed to find this right arrangement style for me that worked with the type of song, but also could still, go down really well on the dance floor. So that was also something that I spent I think a couple of weeks on just finding out how to arrange that kind of stuff in a way that works for me and hopefully works for the people.
Yeah, it's always a thin line as well with experimenting, but I think that's the best combination you can have, like something you can listen to, but also works well on the dance floor. That's we talked about it before. You have like 2 different kinds of songs, or actually 3. You got the typical dance floor songs, that works really, really well on parties, and you got really the Spotify tracks, I would call them. Just like purely to listen to, and they don't work really well on the dance floor.
I think I know what you mean, but I think it depends how you look at it. Because in hardstyle, we are so focused on how it used to be done that we categorize that kind of stuff in these listenable tracks and dance floor tracks. While when I was visiting concerts of other electronic artists that I like, I realized that these people structurize their show in a way that you have a build-up with these songs that aren't going well, and then you can build it up into a song that goes really well on the dance floor, but still be able to do that same kind of structuring on arrangements on the album and stuff like that. And that was what I thought was really clever and really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was figuring out how to do that as well for hardstyle, because we are so used to the structure that we made and that works. But I feel like there's still space to discover new structures and new arrangements, because how good your kick is or how good your lead sound is, it is a lot for a tune, but also how you build it up time-wise can have a lot of impact on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the way you look at it. That's kind of how we work with our live ghost stories as well. When we do a live, we want to tell a story through all the 30 minutes or 45 minutes that we're doing a live with. It's different when we do a D-Block Esteban set, I would say. It's
more for the energy. But yeah, I think the ghost story set also holds up because there's a lot going on around it. It's not just the music, it's the live singing, it's the visuals. So when the people are not dancing or not building up a hype, then there's still a lot for them to see or do. And that, I think that balance is needed, because the people need something to put their attention on.
Yeah, it's entertainment in the end. So you need to entertain the people, and you need to do that in the best way you can for that moment you're trying to create. And the thing that I remember the most is you don't have to be dancing to be able to enjoy a show, because I was at a Flume show, the last Flume show in Heineken, in Avas Live, by the way. In Avas Live.
It's always the Heineken musical.
Yeah, it's always going to be the Heineken musical. But I was there, and the dude was playing a song with a really long break, and it was already really long on the record that he released, but it was even longer live. But what he was doing was really weird. I was like, what the fuck is going on? He had this piece of iron and one of these cutters that you can cut in an iron, and it was doing live cutting on stage. And I was like, what's going on? It doesn't make sense. So everyone was watching for 5 minutes, what the fuck? Everyone is looking around him. And then the song dropped, and he put the sign up, and he literally just put on the sign, "I love you, Amsterdam," with the cutter. And everyone at that moment, realized, whoa, what the fuck? This is some next level shit. And cheered like crazy, because that 5-minute build-up maybe wasn't interesting for these people and didn't create any hype. But that moment itself was so magical that completely,
everybody is talking about that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when they talk about
that was that's really clever in show building, because you don't have to be dancing for 5 minutes. Now you can also build up to that moment.
I also think it's sometimes we're in such a big tour, and we don't give concerts for a whole night, actually, or not that much as an artist. Most of the times when we do big shows, we're at a festival or a big event with several artists, and it's kind of hard sometimes to just plan something like that if you want to do something like that, because the organization or festival or anything, they're like, yeah, you're just one of the acts of 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you only have an hour.
Only have an hour.
That's interesting, because that was something that I was thinking about as well in the same period, because that's the culture.
Yeah.
And the culture has grown this way because it's just naturally the most easy way. Let's say a river goes the shortest way to see as well. But if you think about it, you can also just change that in a way for everyone, that if you focus on like creating a live show, a live experience that you can do live, you can change that kind of like idea of these festivals being like that as well, because there are still a lot of festivals where they can put bands on main stages and have like a changeover of an hour.
Yeah.
And you're like, a change of an hour? Whoa, in Arsenal, if you do a change of an hour, everyone just goes home. And that's kind of weird, because for a band, it makes sense. But then on Arsenal Festival, it's super weird.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying we should do like 1 hour changeovers for a show, but it, I mean, there could be a middle ground that's really could be interesting. And I was working on one of the songs for the album as well. I wanted to make a song that was that you could play live. So I used 20 channels for the whole track.
Yeah.
Instead of, I think normally we do 150 channels or something like that. Yeah. And I was just figuring out, maybe we can do something like that in the future as well. Make a few songs, not just every song, but a few songs for your show.
You can really
perform live. Yeah. And I used only instruments that are be able to be used live. So one synth that is going through the whole song, live real recorded violin, real recorded drums, like a drum kit.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's just literally, and a few background pads and stuff like that, but that's it. So you can just play the whole song live if you wanted to. And that I think is really interesting for the future.
That's really interesting. Yeah. It's kind of hard to imagine, because I think every song we made is like...
I know what you mean.
But it forces you to do some creative...
And that was interesting for me as well, because then you needed to do, like, normally when you make like a classical piece of music, I was kind of inspired by that. You have just a piano or just a violin. You have to do the whole arrangement with just that instrument.
Yeah.
And in art style, you do the same thing with like 100 instruments.
Yeah.
And that's nice and really interesting. But what if you tone it down and do it with one instrument? I mean, what would the result be?
Yeah.
And in the end, I think the song that I created doesn't sound weird.
No.
I mean, it sounds natural, but it is just made up of just a few channels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And now I'm curious. I hope you guys are too. Because, obviously you were working on an album, or still am.
Yeah.
Still are. But obviously it was May the 20th. Your X-Qlusive.
The big moment.
The big moment. Yeah. But as everybody knows, it's coronavirus. And we can't do it anymore. How did you react to that? To that news, because I think you were quite living up to that moment.
Well, obviously, I was watching the press conference on TV because it was going to be a big moment.
Yeah.
But I saw it coming in a way. I mean, I think everyone saw it coming in a way. So it didn't feel like a complete smack in the face or a complete kick in the balls, but more like a soft, gentle smack. Like, I told you so. It was going to happen. It was kind of weird, because it's still, the moment itself still felt like, my world is crashing down in a way, but it didn't feel like that for long, because I knew it was coming, so I was kind of prepared for it. I don't know.
I can imagine. Yeah, but it's like, I think we got it in a different way. I think we're the first anthem, DEFCON 1 anthem creators for a DEFCON that
will not happen.
Will not happen. And you're the first guy who gets X-Qlusive, which is postponed. But
it's still gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know, man, how everything's gonna develop. I mean, everything's going well. September seems like a very good date. And if everything goes to shit this summer, I have no idea what's gonna happen.
No.
But do you think, like, okay, you guys postponed it to September, but there is a chance that September also is not going to happen?
Yeah.
Are you afraid? I think this is a cool question. Are you afraid that the music on your album will not be promoted or premiered the same way as you had in mind with your own show? Because when you do your own show, you have the time to create that moment, to show the people how special it is, because it's your show. But maybe your first shows with your new music are going to be club shows or hall shows or
I know what you mean.
Different parties.
It's like a situation that you would never even consider doing if you make like a big project like I was trying to do. And I'm not entirely sure how it's going to develop, but I feel like the album itself is very listenable at home as well. So I'm just going to release it somewhere this summer, and we will see. Because I was doing the whole planning this week, because I mean, the whole plan was just completely fucked up, the whole game plan. So I needed to completely change that around into a way. But we figured out like a cool version that we can maybe do like a live show version, but with like a visualizer online or something like that. I'm not sure how it's gonna be like, but it's something that's interesting for the people at least to watch at home. That still has like something that I would show on the shows, you know, the live visuals and stuff like that. But then more in a video clippy style, but then for the whole album. So it's hopefully something interesting. And for the club shows, I have no idea. I mean, if we can go in September, my first show is going to be exclusive, so it's going to be amazing.
Can you imagine the energy? Well, I think that's pretty smart idea.
And can you imagine the hangover though?
Oh, I think I would have a hangover before the show. No, but I think it's smart because people can still get kind of the experience which you wanted to give to the people, but if you do that same live set or your live set at a show, the energy and the experience is completely different. Yeah. So it's not like you've seen it before because you've not seen it.
But
live.
It's a smart way. It's a cool way to still give the music the vibe and the I would just say
it's a
the
visual
lading.
Exactly. You give the same vibe and energy to the people that they would normally witness at a show, but now they're gonna witness it at home, which is also interesting because I mean everyone's used to it to experience that kind of stuff live normally, like an album release, especially in hardstyle. But now they're gonna need to, experience it at home. So I don't know how that's gonna level out. Maybe it's gonna be interesting.
The focus of the viewers will be more. I think the focus of the viewers will be higher. Instead of being at an event.
Yeah, I think if you first time watch the whole visualizer, obviously it's going to be interesting because I tried to put in a lot of depth in the album as well. It's got a lot of personal edge to it, like stories and stuff like that, and that's going to be visualized as well in the visualizer. So hopefully it feels like these people are, moving through like an audio visual experience that I thought up. Which could be even more intense at home than you would normally do live, because live everyone's is there to dance.
And the first time you're gonna do it live, everybody's gotta know every song and gonna sing. Hopefully. That will be crazy energy.
Yeah, we still have.
They will even know the timing of the visuals then.
Yeah,
I don't know, because then it's still gonna be VJ'd live. So I mean, it's not gonna be entirely the same.
No. We still have difficulties to find out what we're gonna do with all our releases. Like some of our songs already have depth because people heard them before on festivals. They know the song, they sing along to it already, so we could release it. It's not like it needs more promotion on festivals or parties to get the music out, but you can't make any video clips right now or anything cool,
exactly,
and all these things, so it feels a bit weird as well.
It's the thing with a lot of people in our case are asking for a Harder State of Mind. Well, we had a video clip all in planning or just before the coronavirus started, and we shot half of it.
Ooh, that's annoying.
So that's really annoying. Yeah, for people. The other half isn't shot yet, and we're waiting. Till that happens, or maybe, figuring out something else. But that's we got to work with it.
It also feels a bit weird to release a song that's so festival minded. Like you said, you're making music for the dance floor, but there's no dance floor this summer.
Then it's weird.
It feels so weird to release it, and that's why we made a new Ghost Stories track. Yeah. This is also really well listenable. And that feels more.
It fits the moment.
Yeah, it fits the moment more than to release a big festival.
But this is
banger.
Interesting, I think. Yeah. I mean, you can look at it in a negative way, as in like, oh, it's fucked up. Oh, planning is like completely gone and stuff like that. But I think it's also interesting because at this point you can get creative with music as well, because you're gonna give people home listening experiences. So if you make music in a different way than you'd normally do, like for the dance floor, I mean, people will perceive it different as well. And I think that's interesting because now you can actually see maybe which artists are the most creative and are not as creative as they say they are.
Yeah, we for example are thinking about a way to bring our music to the people, but more for at home. So we're working on that a lot to create a different vibe with our music, but still give our music to them. So,
but the only thing is, like, we still have like 8 songs to release, and they were quite like festival.
And people heard them already, right?
Yeah, they heard them already.
So in one way, we can release them and people would still be happy, but on the other, it feels a bit weird. So we're still figuring out what to do. And We have no clue yet.
In the end, if people know them already and they want to listen to them at home, you can also just release them and try to focus these coming months on creating.
Yeah, creating new stuff. Yeah, that's, of course, we're just.
I think it's hard. I mean, it's really hard because I mean that I had the same thing with planning the album now because everything is just so different than you normally used to because. You get placed outside of your comfort zone, not just with making music and your job, let's so to say, but also the promoting and the social media stuff, because everyone nowadays is putting so much bullshit on social media. I mean, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, of course.
Everyone's sitting at home and they are bored and they're just, making pictures of random stuff and filming themselves. And that's fine. But I mean, your music also needs to, get promoted well online as well. And if you have so many people posting random stuff, I guess people are most likely going to miss the release as well.
Yeah, I feel like everybody is trying to continue the flow that they were in, but times changed, so it's sometimes it feels really off to see like all these random guys throwing their flow online while it's just a different period, so it needs a different approach as well.
Exactly, I completely agree. And for me, it was a little bit more natural because I already had 6 months off. So I was kind of used to it working that way already.
Well, when the lockdown was announced, I just thought about you. I like this guy. He said, I'm not going to tour for half a year. And
then all the shows.
Make an album and make an album
and come back with a big tour. And then,
it's completely a year now that I will be actually not performing. And that's gonna. I mean, my mind was set on 6 months. So for the 6 months, I didn't really miss it because you have like a goal in mind. Yeah. But now it's like at the moment I'm like, whoa, really missing like the fact that you could play shows and stuff like that. It's really weird.
And before it was your own choice. Now it's
exactly. So, I think if you put your mind to something like, let's say 7 months full-time album production. You are not gonna miss anything of your old life, so to say, because you have a goal in mind. And now the goal is just to finish the album, but it's almost finished, and after that I have no fucking clue about what I'm gonna do with Hardstyle at this point. And that's kind of like annoying, but I'm doing quite some side projects already, making beats for hip-hop and stuff like that, which I think is really interesting to try out in this period. And I'm already learning a lot of stuff that I can put into my Hardstyle productions as well.
That's a really cool thing. I just watch a lot of other guys as well and different kinds of music, and you can always learn stuff from making different kinds of music. That's really important thing. And we work really well with deadlines and goals as well. Before like big festivals, big moments in our careers, like with our first Ghost Stories live act or a DEF CON. We were supposed to open and close DEF CON 1. Yeah, those are big goals in your life that you really work towards too.
Exactly.
Now it's gone and you're like, okay, and now what? You're still gonna be creative and make music, but it's not the same as you have like a really like a goal in mind.
It's just a hard reset, I think. It's so weird to go from like your normal day to pretty much nothing, and then it feels really weird at first, and I think you just have to find a mode in where you will recover from what happened and just be creative again.
Exactly. And I think if you're talking about goals and stuff, what I feel was like really useful for me at that point when I started the period is to have a goal to work towards, to like creating an album with a new sound that I want to have put in more of a song structure, more of classical music theory in there. And then I knew what kind of stuff to study and I knew what kind of stuff to do to get towards a goal. And I think maybe for this period as well, for a lot of producers, I think it's really useful to have a look at like what kind of direction I could go with music and what kind of like stuff I could study or get better at in this period. Because you now have gonna have 5 or 6 months this year to study and get better at what you do than you would normally you would play gigs for. So I think we all should just make the most out of it.
Yeah, that's the best attitude. I started practicing the piano again. Just every morning, a half an hour, just practice. I didn't have time for that anymore. Just play, but I just want to get my technique better. And now I have the time, every morning. Like,
that's great.
And create a structure, a new structure. Because, our old structure is gone, so we have to make a new one.
Yeah, that was really weird as well, because I'm not sure if you guys had it as well, but with sleeping schedules and stuff like that, the change was like really weird. I mean, it felt just like for your body, it was like really weird.
Yeah, I'm now, most of the times I sleep before midnight.
Yeah, exactly.
I wake up really early.
Normal job times.
Yeah, like a
well, normally you get
times,
sometimes creative at night and stuff like that because, I mean, you have to fit these studio hours in these 3 days we were talking about.
Well, I think a structure for me personally works really well also with studio time. So it's most of the times it's also on Monday, but a little bit later than 10 o'clock in the morning, but still on Monday. And just have every day the same time schedule but that works for me, you know. It's a structure in life works really well, especially if your weekends are so different. Then you have a flight. Yeah. So when I'm at home, just have the structure that works really well. So but that's for some guys get creative at night. Yeah, I do too. But then I have my laptop at home.
Yeah, exactly. You know? But that's the thing. What I think is interesting about creativity as well, because structure is really useful if you have to be productive.
Yeah.
And creativity is not necessarily being productive. No, and that's the interesting spot that you need to hit or need to nail. And that's what I think is, you know, really hard, because you need to be creative. You need to be fully, you know, rested and chilled out. And that's why they always say you get the best ideas in the shower, because that's the moment where you don't think about other stuff than solving, you know, problems and getting new ideas. So I think to be creative, you have to, you know, also pick hours in the day to do nothing at all and try to find a new idea.
Yeah. And sometimes we come up with idea when we're so tired.
I don't think it has necessarily had to do with, you know, sleep or not, but I mean like rested in your mind, as in not going a lot of chaotic stuff going on.
Sometimes if you're very tired, you
trigger different kinds of emotion or
and all the noise goes away, maybe.
And that's the thing, the noise. I feel like as well, 2 years ago, last year I started deleting a lot of social media apps on my phone as well, because sometimes it's, you know, you get used to while working, you know, scrolling through when you're like a plugin is loading or something stupid like that, and then you get scrolling on a timeline, but you get so much noise without even realizing it that I got so much more productive when I removed all that stuff and just put my phone away on you know, sleep mode and started working like that instead. And it's really weird how your mind, you know, copes with that. But interesting.
I think your attention span.
It has to do with it, But I feel like, I mean, everyone that I am talking about and nowadays starting to realize that all that social media stuff is more a thing you could do when you're bored or something like that, but not you should do when you're doing something important for yourself. And everyone that I talked to that started doing that has got a lot more productive, a lot more creative as well at the same time.
Yeah, makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
If you're like making or you're working and somebody is just like, hey, look at me. I brought in. Oh yeah. Hey, look, I've got new shoes. What do you think about it? That they're like really annoyed. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing when you watch social media all the time. It's just like,
I don't know how to. Yeah,
it's like I think you have to have a balance between it. You know, it's also sometimes I really like in these days just to watch. Things that are not about Corona. Sorry to talk about it right now, but just like things that get my mind off just bullshit things, you know?
Yeah.
That's for me personally that I kind of like.
I know what you mean, and that's what I try. Talking about structure, I try to do that in the evening when I'm not, you know, actively trying to make music in the day. Yeah. And but throughout the day, when I want to be productive, when I need to work on the ideas that I thought up earlier, my structure normally is I try to find the ideas. That's what I did as well in a 6 months period. I tried to find the ideas for the tunes. I think I made like 20 to 25 concepts and ideas of stuff that I had in mind. Sometimes it's just writing down some lyrics. Sometimes it's writing on a melody, you know what I mean? And then when I've got the ideas and I know like, oh, this is a good one, then I plan it in like in an agenda. And then in these days, I try to work it out. And then in these kind of days, I can sit down at home and, you know, have a normal job schedule. But when I want to be creative, I'm chaotic as fuck, but that works best for me.
Yeah. I think we kind of work the same. Just have a structure when you're really productive and the melodies and it's, sometimes it works like that, but most of the times just come up with melodies when we're not really focused on making a new song or something, you know, just it just happens. You're just sitting behind the piano or something, or have an idea, or you're in the car or underneath the shower. A lot of times underneath the shower, that you have an idea in mind, or a vocal or a lyric or something.
We also draw like outlines, and then when we get into the studio together, we try to be as productive as possible. So we cut out all the bullshit. Like, okay, then for example, Diederik wants to like try to make that sound a bit better, and then I'm like, after 3 minutes, like, no, let's continue to build the arrangement and build the song, and then all the bullshit comes later, because just get creative and do.
That's exactly what I think it works the best for me as well. You need to get up, get the momentum up and going, and that when you have that magic moment, you need to keep going, put the whole song down, and when the song's finished, it's time for production, and then you can actually plan in the hours, because production is more a thing that has like a specific time span, so to say, because making a lead normally costs like, I'd say an afternoon or something like that, you know what I mean? And then you can plan these tunes in, but the idea sometimes takes 2 weeks to nail, and sometimes 5 minutes. And that's the thing that I think is interesting. And I in this period, I also tried to find ways for myself to trigger myself to create these moments more efficiently. I mean, I told you I was a super nerd, and that's what I am.
It's actually really interesting to hear that you took time off to create momentum for your songs. That's a cool way to look at it, because normally you don't really have time to plan. You just feel the pressure of, okay, we have to make a song, but you really took the time off.
But also momentum. To find a way and to look into like new directions of finding momentum, because I was feeling I was stuck a little bit in the same, loop for the last, since the Black Mirror Society album that I released. I thought I was like in the same loop, and that was good for a while, but then I was realized if I continue this way, I feel like I don't spend enough time into learning new stuff. So I want to reset myself and try to figure out like how is it going to work for me if I spend 6 months actively learning and working on myself getting better, and how that works for me. Because as a musician, I think everyone knows that you need to keep evolving your sound, even if sometimes people hate it that you evolve your sound, but you have to, because if you make the same stuff all the time, then people are going to get bored by it even more than the fact that you don't evolve your sound. You know what I mean?
And I think it's better just to, how do you say it? I think it's better to see that moment for yourself than the fans. If your fans start saying
someone has to tell it.
If you're too late, I think that's even worse than just to try something different.
It was really as well a good experience for myself, but also a humbling experience, because then you realize all that stuff you have sometimes in the weekends is kind of like fake and plastic. But the fact that sometimes people are seeing you as like this amazing, musician, artist kind of dude. And while at that point, when I was like 6 months off, I was just having a normal, let's say, normal life with the people around me, with family, friends and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I am just, just an artist trying to do my thing and trying to be good at it, while these people around me are as well just, doing their job and trying to be good at it. And I mean, we're not so different to them.
No, not at all.
Sometimes we get set. We are. You know what I mean?
But I think it's really important to have like a good people around you who always remind you that you're, we're blessed that we're doing what we do, but we're not different compared to.
Yeah, but I mean, like all these stuff around it could feel a bit plastic, but at least there is a fundament, and the fundament is that the music we create, that the people adore so much. I mean, after that comes that the people adore you as an artist and become a fan, but there's still this basic foundation that's your discography, And I mean, for example, on Instagram, all these influencers now that are without a job and they're not making any money, it's like that's more of a fake world, because there's
no fundament.
There's no fundament, but we have our catalog,
I know what you mean. But I mean, what I meant by the plastic stuff, I mean, it feels for me still a little bit unreal to go to Schiphol, step in an airplane, fly to a thing in the country, get driven in a ridiculous big car around to a festival, get all your drinks served as how you like it. While in these 6 months, I had nothing like that, I just live in a humble home and stuff like that. And that was great, to be honest.
I kind of like
the contrast is big.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard for fans and normal people, so to say, to understand what we're talking about at this point. But
it's such a crazy life that we're living, especially when you're on tour. And when you're on tour a lot, sometimes when I got home after 2 weeks of touring, I'm just like, don't want to talk or something. You're just tired of talking with different people, investing
and all the attention.
Yeah, all the attention, and you just want to be by yourself for a minute. Just don't wanna. Because a lot of times we're tired when we're on tour. Yeah. But you got a lot of energy from the fans and the crowd. But the hours before the show and when you have like 3 hours of sleep, I'm not complaining at all, but try to visualize for the people how it is. They're really tired, and the promoter comes and he says, "Hey, do you guys want to have dinner?" He's just happy that we're here.
Yeah.
But you're so tired. Actually, you want to say, "No, I want to have a few hours of sleep because I only slept for 2 hours."
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, for sure.
Yeah, great
that you're having us here. Yeah. We're going to have a dinner. And most of the times it's really fun, It's always fun because they're happy that you're there. But actually you want to just say, no, I just want to have 3 hours of sleep because,
it's always, I feel like it's always extremely intense when you have like these Australian tours, because that's really what you're talking about in terms of like you fly over, you're jet lagged and you can't sleep more than these few hours, and then you have all these people around you that are showing all the love. You want to give the love back and stuff like that, but you're also like really tired, and that kind of life is it feels unreal in a way. It's really
it actually is. Let's be honest, it is an unreal life. I mean, like you said, no one can really feel or know what we go through when we have these weekends, because we're the ones living that, and they're only seeing it from the outside.
And that's a really big impact as well on mental health, I think, for a lot of DJs as well, especially if these DJs realize that they need to have a period off. And for me as well, I was like at the point where I was not being that creative anymore. I felt like I need a period off to reset myself. And I feel like that for mental health, we also need to realize, I mean, in the end, if you work like this for a couple of years, you need to realize, I mean, your energy is gone. You need to recharge. Yeah. And I feel like it's something that's a bit underrated in our scene as well. I feel like sometimes a little bit more people need to think about themselves and take like a month or two off to realize, hey, how can we make the genre better? How can we make better music for ourselves? And then recharge themselves and be full of energy. And instead of being so focused on giving all these gigs, how you are used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also really curious how the fans think about this, like would they have, like, for example, now with releasing music, would they rather have us to release a lot more music in these coming months, or do they understand that this situation is there and they feel like, just take your time, create whatever you want, and just come back when everything is back to normal or something? It's also interesting to get more insight on their point of view, because we always have the feeling we know what they want, but maybe it's really different.
That's what we think. It's like an illusion in a way.
It could be really different.
Exactly. At this point, I as well put in my online, these fan groups on Facebook. I put in there like, how do you guys expect me to release the album right now? Just, asking them how would they, perceive the album release. Obviously, a lot of people just like, do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? But a lot of people realize that it doesn't work like that, and they are really honest about it. And they say like,
what was their answer?
Sometimes people say like, oh, just do it this summer because we would really love to have some new music in this depressing times.
Yeah.
Because they were like really, they really want to have new hardstyle to listen to.
Yeah.
And other people were like, we will completely understand if you postpone the whole thing until you can do a show with it. So, I mean, it was like two groups. And I think for me, I honestly think giving some music back in this period is also really important for people to listen to, because I mean the world's already gone for them, of the festival season is gone for them for the coming 6 months as well, and if they don't have any new music to listen to, it's going to be even more
it's going to be hard for the scene as well.
Exactly.
If there's no new music for 6 months, then
and I also think if you imagine all the artists now setting a stop to their releases,
Yeah, that would
be really weird if everybody starts releasing.
Yeah, and imagine that. Yeah, exactly. Then you have like 100 songs in like a month or something.
Yeah.
That would also be really confusing.
Yeah, but it's sometimes it's hard. Like, for example, what we talked about with really festival kind of songs.
Yeah,
but yeah, we don't really make those.
At this moment.
At this moment, well, it was really fun to do that new Ghost Story track, and you guys will see it in really soon. And really about. Yeah, we kind of made a song about this time period and this feeling that not literally, but like how
inspired by.
I think that's the best way to respond to everything.
Obviously,
to be creative and make music about it, because that's what we love to do.
Yeah, you're a musician, so music is the best.
Yeah, it's the answer to
this whole situation.
Yeah, and obviously, I think we should try to do the best we can in this period. And I mean, putting that emotion in new songs that you feel right now is also a great way to get inspired.
Yeah, that's a really good way. But it's kind of hard as well. You don't want to postpone every release or track that we already played, but we're not on the same schedule. We had a schedule to release a song every month because we had so much music, and we're not going to do that anymore because we don't have like the possibility to shoot a video clip or just to but
also, for example, we were working hard on new Ghost Stories music, on new Deep Look Nest from music for DEFCON, where you would like promote that for the first time. But now that momentum is quite gone, so you don't have that much new music for after summer, so you just want to postpone it a bit.
But that's interesting because I think if you watch it as creating these magic key moments, like let's say the DEFCON shows, and you make music for that moment, it's one of the things that we are used to do in Artstyle as well. But what if we just release the music that we think is amazing right now, and people will listen to that song so much at home, it will feel like magic as well the first time they hear it in whatever show. And that's I think as well something that could work, because when I released Fire, like one of my first big songs, I think that I did, the first time I played, everyone just like stood still and was like, I don't know what's going on, And after that, when it got listened to at home by a lot of people after I released my album, it became like the hit song that it that it was for me. And I'm just curious how this situation will also work like that. I mean, people needed to listen to it at home before they could understand it on the dance floor, so to say.
It's really curious. It's also interesting times.
Yeah,
in that way, because we thought about it with some music as well to do a release like this.
We already said to each other, like I think maybe 6 months ago, like, shall we just make a song and don't play it and just release it first before we start playing it and see if that creates a bigger momentum for the song, because it has a lot of impact of being unknown and then getting out there all of a sudden. And now we're actually able to do it with that new Ghost Story song.
Need to
jinx the COVID-19.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I mean, it's cool. And it's also, I'm also curious to see how that will work, because like you said, we have this idea in mind of how a song has to be promoted and how you do all the stuff around it. But maybe it is what it is and you just
exactly, because a good song is a good song, I think. And what if I always most of the times I release albums. I did like every release I did.
You did 3 or 4, or this is your?
This is going to be the fourth album. Yeah.
First one was 2013. Okay.
Yeah, there was a digital only kind of like compilation CD thingy. I still don't call it an album myself, but a lot of people did, because it had the amount of songs on there that was like an album and stuff like that. So, but for me, it didn't feel like a real artist album. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because with the last 2 albums that I did, I realized that to be the album to be special, you need to release a couple of songs to promote it, like how we are used to in Artstyle, so to say. And then a lot of songs were still unknown until the day that it was dropped online. And that also creates a lot of momentum for the album show that I did for DEFCON, for example, that year. And I feel like if you take that in mind, then the theory that you just put up will definitely work for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see, like you said, you have to be creative in these times and find a different way to to promote your brand and your music, because the flow that you're in is definitely gone. You know, it's a whole different situation, and it needs different measures to make stuff happen. But I'm really happy with the song, and we just shot the video. But you also have to create it with shooting the video. You know, like you have to hold in mind that you can be with a big group of people in an area. And
it was kind of the same for my album. I wanted to do 3 scripted videos. That's just gone.
That's gone.
I shot a promotional video by myself walking in the forest with my phone listening to my song, and then just one camera guy just did a one take shot, you know, of 3.5 minutes of the song, walking behind me just listening to the song as a video clip. It's kind of like a reminder to this period. That is how I thought was like a really cool way of catching that vibe that we are into now as persons, people.
We also thought about some concept, for example, for Hardest State of Mind, to create a different kind of video. But then you keep in mind, for example, 2021, when this whole thing is behind us, and people watch the video, and it still reminds them back to that dark days when there's not that festival and everything. So it also sometimes feels, because your music is forever, you know? And then to create a video clip that's more into now feels like it's not for forever,
so you're a bit scared that if the emotion links with the video, then the song will feel like that emotion for the rest of, the song's existence.
Yeah, exactly. The song is forever, but the video, if it's like created in this moment with all the measures that you have to hold right now.
Corona era.
Yeah,
but it's also a thing. It is what it is right now. So it is
changing the world. It will forever change the world, because let's just talk about that stuff. How can you know how flying is going to be in the future?
Maybe it's not affordable
the reason
anymore.
why this is a worldwide problem is because of we are able to fly around the world so easily.
But it's also, I can't imagine a world where we're not flying around the world, because I really love to see so many different countries, from Mexico to Asia to Australia.
I know what you mean, but don't you think it's going to be more like a? Sorry for interrupting, but don't you think it's going to be more like when 9/11 happened, everything with flying changed. Security got insane and that kind of stuff. Before that, they were a little bit more chilled, so to say, with security. And this period is completely different as 9/11, but it's also a game-changing moment for that industry. So maybe we need to do temperature checks every time we're going to fly. Who knows? Because at that point, when 9/11 happened, they are doing complete security checks where they didn't used to.
Yeah.
So maybe
I guess a lot of loopholes in security will now be found due to this crisis.
Yeah, but I think that's also, I think it's going to be less common to shake hands with strangers, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's. I'm already used to it. It's kind of weird.
It's like, hello. I'll do it the Japanese way. But also, can you imagine we were playing in Malaysia just before the lockdown. Yeah. And we shook like hundreds of people's hands, sweaty. They're already around you. And you don't think about it. But nowadays you're like,
maybe for fan interaction. I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking like meeting just, the people that you work with. But fan interaction.
We always shake hands with everybody, you know, and just hugging and
exactly.
And you don't really want to miss that as well, because it's such a natural. I don't know.
Well, all we do know after this is that we can really do live streams really well.
Yeah.
So many live streams.
Exactly.
Live streams out there.
But it's the fan interaction, shaking hands, hugging and stuff like that.
Yeah. But with flying, I think they definitely will check temperature.
Yeah, but let's be honest, like getting into a plane, like the 1.5 meter rule is gone, Yeah. You're with like 6 people in 1.5 meter around.
It will be just one big business class now.
Yeah,
well, the whole plane is just one big business class. It's like this Emirates level.
Yeah, but right now I got some friends who were working as a pilot, and I'm like, hey, how are you figuring out 1.5 meter of distance? That's the rule in Holland. They're like, it's impossible. Also for the stewardess, we don't work with 1.5 meter. It's impossible.
There's a lot of situations.
It's impossible. But also in the restaurant or cafes, it's impossible.
Hairdressers.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work out eventually, but
it's gonna change the world for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we should just accept it and deal with it. Yeah. That could also be something until there is like effects.
And I know what you mean, but I mean the fact that this happened and created such a a huge impact on everyone, like daily life, money wise, etc. They for sure are gonna look at ways how to prevent this in the future, and that's gonna be interesting how you are able to prevent these kind of situations because. I mean, it will happen again because,
of course, yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of time.
It will be just another virus.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I think is really interesting is that sometimes it's good to have a hard reset, just to recognize how beautiful. Also, if we talk about our scene, like I can't wait for the first festival again, and to get out of that loop that you're in. You get out of it, you really can appreciate. What you're doing even more, so sometimes
you can have a good insight on how beautiful things are, or how cool or how corrupted things are as well. Like for example, I heard that in Amsterdam now the whole Dam Square, where it's normally the most busiest area of the whole of Amsterdam, now is completely empty because even the people from Amsterdam don't come there anymore because it got so polluted to them that they found their way around the city center of Amsterdam to do their groceries, do their restaurants, not going to restaurants, but get their dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't appreciate the beauty of the Amsterdam city center anymore because of all the pollution and all the tourists getting in there, and now it's so dead empty that Amsterdam is thinking like, okay, we took away the whole city center from our inhabitants, and the locals, and now, cool. Okay, now it's dead empty. How can we bring them back here and show them and appreciate them how beautiful our city center is again?
Yeah,
and it's also something that it's a hard lesson as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid. I really hope that we do change in a bit, like how we look at things, in a positive way, like you appreciate everything and everything you do and around you. And I hope really a lot of guys take this time to develop a new skill. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to learn something new.
I hope everyone just starts learning how to make music.
Yeah, to learn the piano or learn a new language or learn. You have time right now, you know. So that's a really good time right now to do that. But I'm kind of afraid that when everything's starting back to normal, that
everyone just goes back to
the old flow, and just.
But there will for sure be a new normal. It's not.
Yeah. I think it really depends on how long it will be like
as this. Well. But I think as well, I never realized that if there are no planes in the sky, you get 30% more sunlight. I never realized that before. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy as well.
It's now so rare when you see like a plane flying over. You're like,
oh, plane! You're like a young kid.
And normally you don't look up. You're like, oh my god, all these planes.
All these stripes. It's polluting, the air and stuff like that.
That's really clear skies.
My colleague had a really funny thing. He was looking in the sky like a couple of weeks ago, and he saw a plane. What's not common at this time. And then he looked on flight radar. Yeah. And it was the only airplane in the Dutch, how do you call it?
Airspace.
Yeah.
The only one.
And normally there are like hundreds
at the same time.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy times.
Yeah, it's a hard blow as well for these airline companies, man.
Woo. Yeah.
And they get quite some money though.
Yeah, there are so many sectors that are really
struck
by this thing.
Yeah, but even if you look at these sectors like ours as well, it's really struck by economically, but a lot of other companies are linked to these sectors as well. I mean, like if you want to make a deal, you normally would step in a plane and fly to a different country and sign a deal, for example. And these companies as well are now hurt by not being able to sign these deals. And let's say all the public transport that I was used to get everyone to these festivals and stuff like that. I mean, that's also...
But also for the events industry, it's not just the organization, but it's
all the supplies for food, drink, security.
And all the people that didn't, what I heard is that a lot of people that are let off, that don't have like a full-on contract at these companies. You just, we don't have any work for you this summer. Goodbye.
Yeah, good luck.
I mean, that's really hard. I mean, I'm really glad that music can still be streamed and we can still have, I mean, it's not as much as we used to have with gigs, but we can still have an income at least with just music.
Yeah.
All these people, everything is just completely gone.
Yeah, and also our costs are quite low. I mean, we have a studio, we have some cars, and we have rents working for us, but it's not like, for example, when you have a restaurant, you have like a really expensive location, which costs like 10K a month.
A lot of people working for you.
Yeah. And everything just keeps on.
Yeah,
all the costs, with no income, but all the costs are continuing to go like every month, and for us, the costs are so low. And like you said, you still make an income of streaming. So yeah, we're not struck. I mean, we're struck, but like it's not really.
It is what you would wish you could still have the same income,
of course,
as you normally have, but
also just the shows. I mean, I miss the shows and the people more than the money. I mean, it's not really about it.
Yeah, man, exactly. My whole plan is that doesn't really matter anymore. I mean,
I kind of really miss the energy.
Yeah,
just the
intensity.
Adrenaline, because it's always when I got a lot of inspiration from shows as well. If you had like a really big show and it was such a crazy amount of energy from the fans, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna work on this and that.
Yeah, but also because we make this energetic music,
that's also
it's also really dance floor based, and now you have to completely reset your mind from doing that for the last 3 years into creating some other stuff, and it could work out really well, but it took a while.
Yeah, I feel like if you're used to testing all that stuff, all that music out live, and see how people respond to certain, things in a track, it obviously changes the structure or how you make your tracks. If you think like, oh, this is gonna work great on the dance floor, I mean, you're gonna repeat the trick in a different way. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And now you can't even test out these new tricks anymore. So you have to think about like how people are gonna perceive.
It's also the same things when you're experimenting with kicks. That's
nowadays you have all these crazy dance floor kicks.
Yeah, so
and like, they are not necessarily that fun at home.
Exactly. So you're like, oh, I made this new kick, and like, okay, yeah.
What are the people interested in now? Right now, that's a question that I ask myself every day. Like,
we can maybe ask people.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, let us know.
What would they think?
Please let us know. What are you guys interested in? Because are you still interested? Because I can imagine if you're when you're just doing the gym's gonna open maybe in a few weeks or something, or you do some sports outside running. Do you still want to have that energetic new song maybe?
I think so. I think if you do running, it's amazing to have these energetic songs.
But if you're just by yourself at home doing nothing, you don't want to have.
Maybe they do.
But maybe they do.
There's more people than you think that are also listening hardstyle music when they are chilling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because sometimes I put it on in the car as well, but I do listen to specific songs that are interesting to listen to in the car.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
that's the difference.
And that's what's interesting, because I mean, how is it gonna work?
But it's so hard. It's also different for each person. Like if you're
obviously
like for me, for example, I don't really listen to hardstyle at home, for example. But I listen to it in the car or at the gym, but that's also because you listen to hardstyle. You're making hardstyle, so you're around hardstyle 24/7.
Same as a cook.
Yeah.
When he gets home, he doesn't like to cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
yeah,
because he did it for the whole day.
I saw a video of like this very famous chef that he was like cooking these crazy dishes, and at home he just loved to make like an omelette with some tomatoes on there. That was like his dinner, and then it was done in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was, he's just so used to doing crazy stuff that at home he wants to do this comfort cooking.
Yeah. But that's for me, and for you it's different, and for you it's different. And
yeah, that's the hard thing as well. We have discussions like on almost on a daily basis. Like, okay, he has the feeling that we should do more of this, and then I say like, for me it really feels off. It doesn't fit this period. Yeah. And it's so difficult to lay your finger on it. What?
That's exactly how we started this conversation as well, by me being a duo before. I mean, how do you guys even work these kind of ideas out? Because I know how freaking hard it can be to be on the same wavelength together, because music is such a personal thing.
Yeah, it's a personal thing, but it's like you have to acknowledge the strength you Stefan has and the strength that I have, you know, and kind of trust it. And most of the times when we're both really happy, then we know it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you try to perceive it in a way that you're both judging the song. And if you both think it's good, that's also you just know it's good.
Because we have such a different way of listening to music. Like for example, I sent him a song of Billie Eilish, and I said to him, listen to the song, man. It's so cool how all these vocals come together and everything, you know. And he listened to the song. He's like, oh yeah, it sounds really cool. Now I'm gonna listen to the vocals. I'm like, because he just listens to the whole arrangement and all the chords and everything before he listens to the actual song.
Yeah.
And I listen to a music completely different. Like, and I think there's different ways to approach and listen to music as well. And if we both like something, then I know that a lot of people would be interested in it, because some would listen to the way I listen to it, and some will listen to it the way Diederik listened to it. But altogether, it's in both ways, it will be good.
Yeah. But have you ever, just a question, have you ever made a song that you think is freaking amazing and you don't like, or the other way around?
Yeah, but we didn't release it. I think.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's the way, like how we like to work. When, like, for all these years we work together, so you have to make a statement in the beginning, like, okay, if Diederik really loves it, I'll try to work my way around it to also appreciate it. But if it in the end I don't really appreciate it, then we just skip it.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's smart.
Because else then you get into a vibe where, for example, if he really loves the song and I don't like it, and we would still release it and it wouldn't do anything good, or people would complain about it, then you get an argument, you know?
Yeah,
so you both have to be...
And what if he plays it in a DJ set and you will be like,
I don't like
standing
it.
there next to it like... giving no energy to the people at all because you just hate it. It's going to be a very funny situation.
I mean, you have to make sure that you're both appreciate the thing.
Sometimes it's also like we have our personal favorites, of course. But it's sometimes you gotta get used to something, or you're in a different kinds of emotion. But you gotta appreciate it or something like that. If you're like, all right, if you do it like this, it's okay. And sometimes it grows, you know. Sometimes I'm like, I remember when we made 2 Silhouettes. We made that in 3.5 hours, but that was kind of for me, a poppy kind of simple song.
Yeah.
And I felt the track, but I was like, it's so simple, you know? So I was like...
Now it's the producer when you're talking, right?
It was really the producer. Like,
I know exactly
it's so simple, but you were like, it's just a good song. I'm like, it's a good song, but it's so simple.
But, you know? That's the thing that I was trying to figure out as well for myself. The fact is that I love these very simple songs that are very effective, but it's really hard to get on that level of being very simple yet very effective.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to make a simple song, but it's very hard to make an a simple song interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and I think that's the perfect balance between us.
Yeah.
Like all the chords and everything where Diederik works on, I mean, it's always fresh and new and cool. But then we make sure the song is easy for people to listen to as well. So it will sound easy, and easy for people to sing along or to get the feeling of the song.
That's what we think. It's easy. I don't necessarily think that if we think it's easy because we're so focused on trying to do something next level, that doesn't necessarily mean it is easy or even simple.
Maybe easy isn't the right word, but like the people will understand where it's going.
Yeah. But I think every
predictable, maybe you mean.
I mean,
well, not predictable.
Not predictable. It's just sometimes you like, for example, with all our ghost stories, it's you get that as well with your melodies, that people sing along to your melodies. They scream along with. They know if they hear it for 2 or 3 times, they can sing your melody.
Yeah, because it's a good hook.
Yeah, it's a good hook.
Idea.
Yeah, but that balance, but the chords underneath the melody are quite
make it
fresh.
special,
make it fresh.
Yeah. Those are more complex.
Yeah, those are really
the
complex.
Top layer is understandable.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily like understand what's going on underneath it, but they feel it. They feel the emotion.
It's the same. That's what when I started studying this classical music theory. in classic musical, I'm sure you know, you have all these like rules that you have to follow to make the music understandable. But that's also interesting in a way that these sometimes seemingly very complex songs are still being able to, follow these songs while there are like so much stuff going on, like 10 melodic lines at the same time or something like that. But then I feel like it means that our mind is set to like a certain, what we think is enjoyable in a way. And that means that we can create these hooks to a certain way that people think they are amazing and easy, but still could be very complex in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also fun with our track Fallen Souls. It's like got a different time schedule. It's like 6/4, 6/4, and goes back to a 4/4. But everybody who listens to the song, they're like, oh yeah, nice melody. They don't recognize that type of thing.
No, exactly.
But they do recognize there's something special with that melody. But they don't know what it is, you know? But they still can follow.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I try to get with my songs as well. To be able to create something that sounds essentially simple and natural.
Yeah.
But it's musically still complex and interesting because finding that spot is like magic balance.
That's pretty much our balance, like also in the studio, where Diederik is trying to make something complex. I'll balance it out with like make it sound more recognizable. Or simple sounds a bit dirty.
It's not like
make it simple.
No, but it's a hook. I mean, we can all agree on the fact that if you nowadays make a good hardstyle song, you need a good hook.
Yeah,
and a good hook can be 4 notes, simple patterns, but a good hook can also be very complex, different melodic lines. And that's the thing. We are all just searching for the right hook, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you need a good bullshit detector to find a good hook, in my opinion.
I'm a bullshit detector.
Maybe you have the best bullshit detector. As in,
it could be.
I mean, the balance between finding like a melody that sounds great but isn't a good hook, and sounds great and is a good hook. That's sometimes really hard to,
I think
understand.
Because Diederik's background is also from with the keyboard and the piano and everything. And I think when you're more schooled in music, it's easy to find something sound easy, but I'm not schooled in music, like my music experience is from like being in the hardstyle scene for 20 years and creating music together with Diederik. So I have a different ear on listening to music, when I listen to it, I almost feel like I am a fan, like in the crowd and standing in front of the stage where the DJ is playing his song. So I listen to the music on, okay, how can I sing along to this? Or how can I understand this music as a fan, not as a musician?
What do you want to hear when you're going to a hardstyle party?
And maybe Diederik will start analyzing the chords and the progression.
It was always so fun. I was that annoying guy when I went to a club that was just watching. What is he doing? Just standing there, not dancing, just watching my favorite DJs just, what is he doing? Oh, he's mixing that track with Final. Oh, what is he doing? You're just watching, just observing what he does. So I and of course later at night when you have a couple of drinks and all, just party time. But I was also that guy just to listen to and my friends would always get sick of me. I'm like, listen to this DJ. That transition was so shit. They're like, what transition? Yeah. What are you talking about? And they get annoyed by it. Just party, man. Just shut up.
Yeah.
But now, like I think that's our perfect balance. But nowadays, the situation has changed. Like what do you do now? with music and
I think the music that we will make at this point will be more emotion based and driven than party based, of course it's hardstyle, so there's energy in it, but you're not creating a song and the arrangement by thinking of a big crowd in front of you. You just see the people sitting at home.
Because then you are inspired by the crowd, so to say, and now you're inspired by something completely different.
More on emotion, I think.
But it's still, that's also our style. I really love energetic tracks. that has a lot of.
Well, that's the base. That's the base in hardstyle, right?
Yeah.
That's what I started loving as well.
Yeah.
The combination of good music in terms of like melodies and stuff, like hooks that are really cool to listen to, with the energy.
Yeah,
and that's what I think is the intention.
Yeah, but that's pretty. That's the thing right now. You don't have that energy in the crowd, so it's that's a pretty.
We still actually
things,
didn't figure it out yet.
No.
You know, like what is the way to go at this point? And nobody knows because there's no right or wrong, and there's also no comparison. You know, it's not like you can say, "Oh, this happened to us before, and this is the way to go." You know, so everybody's just doing what feels right, I guess. But
for them,
in this case, being alone is more easy because what you feel, you exactly. you can go for it. You know, and we both feel different, so then you can have discussions about it. But also, a discussion makes a good idea in the end, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
for example, the last track that we just made, I think I made like 10 melodies, and that's the first time ever that normally it's just like the first melody and maybe a little change, but it was really like, no, it's not it. I'm like, yeah, it never happens, but it took us to a new thing that it's fresh.
Yeah,
sometimes you need that struggle to create something.
I think that struggle
new.
is something for me as well. That made me realize that I need to do something different and get inspired by it. And that struggle is, I think, that what we need as well sometimes to realize, what we are doing, is that right for us? Like, and that's
maybe the biggest problem of all is that we start to think too much. That's also scary because now you're like thinking, okay, should we make different music? But normally you just let your inspiration flow and just create, you know. And now mind comes into mind as well. Where you think maybe too much.
But I know what you. I think it's the fact that you are so stripped out of your comfort zone. I mean, in whatever profession you will do, it's gonna be hard to work in a different environment in a different way of what you normally would do. So for everyone, I think everyone's starting to overthink stuff now. But I feel like the real good people, they will come out. You know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody.
If you're good at it, you will come out great in this period.
But I'm really curious for the people. Just comment below. You know, just let us know what do you really envy right now. You know, do you want to have your party songs as well released, or do you want to? Of course, everybody wants new creative stuff, and we're definitely gonna do that. You know, but it's like you said, are we gonna release it right now without a video clip or just?
We just have no clue. That's a problem.
Yeah.
If we release a song now in May, for example, and the show start in October, do people still want to listen to that song, or do DJs still play that song? Like
I think if you make like these big hits that you guys used to, then I'm sure you'll be all right. Like for real. That's the thing. I think the quality of the song will define and answer these questions that you are having.
Yeah.
Because if you make a good song or a good release or good album, whatever you are planning to, in my opinion, they are relevant for at least a few years, maybe like 2-3 years if you make a good album. And obviously it's not going to feel new anymore to the people, but I still get like quite a lot of comments about an album that I released 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago now.
Yeah, and also the experience might be different. You know, you release a song right now, people listen to it, but they never listen to it at a festival.
I think they will be so eager to hear it for the first time.
Yeah,
that energy will be.
They listen to it for numerous times at home, and when they're
already visualizing.
And that magical feeling.
Yeah,
magical feeling they have
that
when everyone is singing along with the melody. I mean, we as DJs obviously know that feeling, but they are feeling it as well in the crowd. So if you release a song that has that power, and even if you release in this period, I think it will definitely go crazy after this period is over.
I mean, you don't really have a choice because you have your album nearly finished. Is there anything released already from the album?
No one ever heard anything yet. Yeah, I shared like a snippet of like 30 seconds on my Instagram, and that's all.
Yeah,
and all the other music is still new, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to, try to create a live show around it and stuff like that, and a new experience for myself and also for the people. But for now, I'm just looking at like a creative way to release that this summer, and hopefully that the thing that I was talking about, the visualizer thing, which is kind of like a live show on YouTube idea, is gonna be cool for the people to watch at home. And if I think about it, you have in pop, you have these 2 months period or 3 months period before they release an album, before they start touring after releasing an album. Sorry. Yeah. And maybe that works as well for us. I don't know. I mean, it's something we can try out in this period.
Yeah. It's so funny. We talked about just the thing you did, took a half a year off and produce an album and was supposed to like doing gigs again.
I think I should have previewed it now 3 weeks ago, Rebirth, something like that.
Yeah, but we talked about that before. If you look at really big bands, for example, they it takes 3 years to run an album. Yeah. And they tour for a year or 2 years and then go back to the studio for 2 years and create music and tour for a year.
Yeah. And that's an interest. That's I think a cool way of working, because you create a more special experience when they do these tourings, because you just know this tour is going to be the only tour they are going to be doing around this album or around this period of time. So if I'm going to buy a ticket, I'm going to get something unique, a great experience. Yeah. And I feel like we as well as electronic music producers, but I think nowadays we are starting more to be an artist rather than a DJ. Yeah. Then we can also have a look at that and maybe incorporate that with our culture and create these magical moments for the people. Because what I realized when I held my album back, Black Mirror Society, for a long while and then released it, and then everyone went to my DEFCON blues show, and it was like, I think 20,000 or 22 was completely packed, and everyone knew all the songs from the album. And the fact that in a hardstyle scene, you get 20,000 people clapping after your set because they enjoyed it so much, that's like the magical moments you want to create, at least for myself. And the people as well loved it. So, I mean, I'm trying to figure out ways for myself to create more of these magical moments than rather than just playing a DJ set, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I would love to. I would love to. But the only thing is, like, we're still kind of a small scene. So it's
I know what you mean, and that's why I'm a bit scared to take a big leap into like, let's just copy what these bands are doing, because I don't plan on doing that. But I think maybe we can be creative in a way that we can figure out a combination of being less of the DJ culture that we are used to, but more as an artist. That we are trying to be in terms of like what we're doing with music and what you guys are doing with Ghost Stories as well.
Yeah, and also to change some other things, like it's kind of hard to tell a story if you're not doing a live act. Just do a DJ set in like 60 minutes. We made so many songs, and it's almost everybody want to hear Darkest Hour, Angels, Demons, or whatever. Yeah. You make an edit out of it, but they still want to hear that song, and we still want to play that song. You know. But we talked about it with Q-Dance as well. Like, why not change set times to 2 hours? Just change it a bit. So DJs...
It used to be like that.
Yeah, it used to be like that. But so now we have more time to play stuff from other DJs as well. And just to experiment with our set. Just try.
Yeah. Or what I think was cool about... I was at the show, the Muse show, in the Ziggo Dome. And these guys are doing a 2 hour, live show as well. And that's, pretty long for a band. But it's, I mean, the fact that they had 2 hours to do it, they could also play these like really slow ballads, like an acoustic version of one of their songs they ever did and stuff like that. So they still had like an hour and a half at least of full on energy that they always do in their songs. Yeah. But they also had time for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something to do stuff that was just interesting to listen to, but not necessarily to go wild to.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah. You can play different stuff that you're normally won't play. But Q said, we would love that. But you guys are one of the only ones who want to do 2 hour sets. Most of the DJs, they say, oh no, we just want to have 1 hour. That's all. Because I can understand it, because it's a different kind of energy to like, if
it changed the whole dynamic.
Yeah, and also we make a lot of music. You make a lot of music. But if you release 3 songs a year, it's kind of hard to
keep 2 hours of music interesting. Yeah, so, especially for the fans. Yeah. If you make like 3 songs a year and you still have like a big fan base, then a 2 hour set is gonna be really weird.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we want to do 2 hour shows every show, not at all. But just
No, you create these magical moments.
To create something special on an event.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we maybe could do as a scene to get the middle ground between creating these magical moments to create something like a special 2-hour set or a live show like the performing these songs live, what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
These kind of like moments can maybe in the future make our scene stand out even more and get the quality higher as well. Because I think for the entertainment for people, for the last 10 years, I think, we've been doing it like DJs are trying to get this 1-hour set you were talking about. These live shows are just like, put an MC on stage with like 45 minutes or 30 minutes of music. I mean, this kind of like stuff is it's done. I mean, it's passé.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm really curious what it will be like after.
And in other dance genres, it's way more common to do
like the
sets.
Chainsmokers did on the Tomorrowland main stage. Like they had a whole band, but also still played a DJ set. So that was like an interesting dynamic. And I'm not saying we should all just put drum kits on stage and do hardstyle like that, because that's not going to work for the culture. No. But I mean, we could look at like these interesting ways of giving the people something more interesting and more magical.
Yeah.
So when are you gonna start rolling out the album? And like, is there any single before the album release?
We are thinking about promoting the album just like we would always do, like promoting an album. I'm not sure how the dates are gonna be like. I'm not sure when still, because yesterday I had a meeting about how we are even gonna release it. We are still working on it, but at the moment I think we are going to preview some of the tracks that I used to preview at Rebirth. Sorry. And we are gonna do release these tunes as like singles with like videos and visualizers as well before the album comes out. So that's kind of like the promotion moment for the people to look like, oh, what was this guy doing, and what are the important tracks, so to say, for the album. And then I'm just gonna drop the album and with the all the visual stuff around it, and we will see. And for this album, I put also a lot of effort in the artwork, the visual aspect as well.
Yeah, I saw it on your Instagram. All the
that was just the beginning, because that's one of the styles that we are putting in for the artwork for the album as well. I for every tune that I did on the album, there's a specific artwork made that is like surrealistic in the style that we did. So it has like the depth in it. So there's also like little links and stuff to the music in the artwork itself. Cool. So I can use that as well. Luckily, I have that already, but I can use that as well in a promotion for this. So here's the song. You can listen to it. Now look at the artwork and see if you can find the link between the artwork and it's like the surrealistic aspect to it.
Cool.
Really curious, nice. Man. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. All right, maybe we've got some fan questions.
Of course. One for Marco.
Yeah.
How did you develop your style on Melodies?
I think that went kind of like natural, because I was at a point a couple of years ago when I was deciding what kind of hardstyle that I was going to make, so to say, for the future. And my direction for Phuture Noize. And at that point, I was like, I want to create this energetic, still aggressive-y kind of like melodies, but something that is has a lot of emotion and is interesting for people to listen to. And then we come down to the hook aspect. I think my melodies are really simple in terms of like rememberable because of the hooks. And I thought that was really important when I'm writing my melodies. But I want to have the chords that we were talking about as well underneath there that has the emotion that I want to put into the song. So it's like a combination of a simple top line with the chord progression under there that carries the emotion of the song. That's how I perceive the melodies.
It's kind of exactly the same how we do it.
Exactly. And then we, as producers, has a style in what kind of like emotion we want to put in there. Yeah. And that's going to define the difference between the chords and melodic lines and stuff like that.
I when I think about your melodies, I always hear like a glide thing. That it walks towards that note. You know, not instantly.
I enjoy that.
Yeah,
these heavy glides in hardstyle. That's something. That's something that I think is really cool. That is possible with these digital leads, because on a normal instrument you wouldn't necessarily do that. Like sometimes on the guitar or something.
Guitar you can do it.
Yeah, but I mean,
piano you can bend your.
You couldn't do it on a piano or anything. I mean, but that's what I think is really cool about hardstyle. That we have the possibility to do these kind of things.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
There was also a question: is there new merchandise coming with the album?
Yeah, we are working on a collection that is linked with the album as well, and I hope that everything will be finished around the same time as the album is going to be released. But I mean, everything is so fake at the moment with the releasing stuff. But I think the samples that
also the production is different now.
Yeah, the production is different now, but the samples are on the way to me right now from the factory. And I think it was delayed as well because of all the, this stuff.
We had the same problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I have no idea when it's going to be released, but we are working on, I think, 5 or 6 new pieces. So
cool. Nice.
Question for both, actually, or all of them. All of them. Both X. If you start a new track, would you build the track first and the vocals after, or the other way around?
Okay.
Start with a vocal.
I think I do. What I did for this album, I sat down with songwriters and I do a lot of, writing myself as well. And I sing like terribly, but I record these demos for other people as well. So what I do is I put down the chords, the basic design of the track. I write the vocals on top of that. And then I'm going to sit down with someone to sing it, or maybe even write the song together. That's what I do.
Yeah, for us, it really depends. Most of the times it's like for the first time, like a chord progression on piano or something. And we hear like a melody on top of that. And then we start writing the lyrics. Yeah. And so that's basically is because then when we write together, then Stefan hears the emotion of the chords. So we know what the song has to be about. If I can say, I want to write lyrics about that, then the chord progressions are really sad and he comes up with "It's a happy day." It doesn't fit, so most of the times, but sometimes we get like a concept or a vision.
How did it work with the new Ghost Stories track?
It started with I think with the piano.
Just a theme, I think.
Theme. Yeah, it was the theme. I was. Oh yeah, I didn't write the piano part. No, it was how do you describe what's happening right now? Yeah, we can tell that, right? That part of the lyric. And it was the enemy you cannot see because it's a virus. It's an enemy for all of us. It's untouchable and you cannot see. And that was kind of the theme. And then I was thinking about our everybody's waiting for the antidote of the new virus and all. And I thought it was
you already did the antidote, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of a cool look back to our album.
I know what you mean.
We started writing, and then I wrote like a crazy, like a long ballad. It was way too long. And it was too depressing, and then when Stefan comes, like, it's like really sad. I'm like, I'm feeling really sad. I missed the festival. Yeah, but you gotta give some hope to the people. All right, and then we sit down and just wrote.
Then we got some vocals and changed some vocals and a bit more hope in the end of the vocal.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, that's what you can make like a really sad song, but in the end of the day, you want to have like light at the end of the tunnel. It's more.
Yeah, obviously you can make a sad song, but I think you can also structure an album like that you can write a sad song, but then the song after you can make it like hopeful. So that's what I think is cool about albums.
Yeah, that's cool about albums.
Because that's the thing with songs. I know exactly what you mean, because if you write a depressing song and just release a depressing song, people are going to be like, whoa, are these guys okay? But if you write like a depressing song on an album with a good song after it, then everyone knows like, oh, these guys are going through a struggle, but they've figured it out. And that's also something that's I think is cool for the experience. Yeah. But I think I kind of write the same way as you guys do sometimes. Most of the times I start with the piano, and then I feel like I've got a melody line for the vocal in my mind, and then I'll write it down. Sometimes I write in my I've got like this random hip hop writing app or something on my phone with all these rhyming schedules and stuff like that, and then I write like verses or hooks in there, and then I sit down and try to make a song around these kind of like words I put down.
Yeah.
So it's
most of the times we just figuring out, like, we've got like several lyrics, and then we just try to figure it out to not to be that literally but
not to be cliche.
Like, for example, we just made a song about how we feel about the situation right now, but I don't want to have lyrics like we're all at home at lockdown, it's not like that, you just want to have.
That's the thing. And that's the thing what I think is important when you write a song is you have to give the people the 2 + 2 instead of the 4, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't give the answer, but you should ask them a question, so to say, in a song.
Yeah.
So that means you write a song vaguely, and that can mean a lot of things. So the people itself can create the emotion around the theme for themselves, instead of that we are trying to push that emotion through their neck, so to say.
It's so funny when people say, "Oh, that means so much to me because I was going through a hard time of my life with that, and those words are really reflecting on me like that."
There's a different emotion that we put in because we had a completely different idea with the song. But then that's good.
But then I think you nailed the lyrics, because if you can give a piece of work so many different emotions for a lot of different people, then I think you nail it.
Yeah. And what we also do a lot is because like we're not English spoken people, and I think some lyrics can be really easy, but the words can make them pop out, Like, for example, with Darkest Hour of the Clock, like when the hands strike midnight, like the hands of a clock, I wouldn't normally use that word,
Yeah.
So then we just say, okay, we have to find a way to tell the people that at midnight, so then we came up with, okay, in Dutch, okay, the hands, but then we'll figure out the word, we didn't know the word hands would mean the wijzers. So we just say it in Dutch to each other. Okay, where does this story have to go? And then we'll figure out what the words, what the right words are.
That's the same way of how I write my songs in a way, because I also sometimes write down the theme in Dutch, and then I start look on like the rhyme zones, like with the right words that can rhyme well and sound good, because that's, I think, the bottom line of all the good songs are they need to sound well. And then if the meaning is great as well, that's like the best thing you can do. Yeah. But I think the most important part is that they sound well. Obviously, the lyrics can be like super dumb, but I mean...
If it sounds good, that's really important. Yeah, sometimes we have like, Stefan said like, I want to do this, or can you write this lyric? I'm like, yeah, that's beautiful, but you're not able to sing that in a right way. And then, all right, we try to figure out how does it work. And I remember with Lake of Fire, when we wrote that, put me under in the lake of fire, that sentence was like the rhythm of the vocal before that sentence. It's like it's kind of the same, and then put me under in a lake of fire. That's a completely different timing, and now everybody knows the song, so it goes like that. But if you're writing,
we have to come up and figure out the timing.
Exactly. So I'm like, how does that fit? It's not on the one. I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool, because it changed the whole vibe of the vocal.
And that's the thing, which makes good songwriters. And when they know how to put words into a melodic line, and that make that sound interesting. And that's a completely different aspect, and I think a completely different talent in writing music, because making a kick, I mean, it's a technical thing. You can, I think, even learn if you want to, but writing a good song is something you have to feel, and that's something you need to learn as well, and that's just completely different.
I mean, we just started writing our own lyrics, like we did some, but nowadays we do them for every song, and it's like 3-4 years ago that we started doing that.
Really,
before that we used top lines, or we just use samples, or like small ideas. But nowadays it's all our own themes.
Yeah, except for one. We did it, the Love on Fire thing.
Oh yeah,
it was the first song ever that we used just the top line, and searched online Like, is there already a hardstyle song, Love on Fire? No, nothing pops up. In the end, there were already like 2 songs or something. Like, oh shit. So
it was like a splice.
And that's exactly, and that's the thing. If you write original songs, you don't gonna have that problem. As well.
we said to each other, that's
never again.
Never again. We're never gonna use.
And another thing was all the the tracks that became bootlegs. With all the clearances last year. Oh yeah. So many tracks that
it's sometimes
had issues with clearance.
Yeah. But I think it's also the same goes for when you look at Zombie of Randy, you know, it's such a big hit. It's a really good production, but it's not his lyrics, not his melody.
No.
And it's fine, you know, it's all good and it's a really good song and it's his voice. That's something it's different when you write your own lyrics and people sing along to your own lyrics and melody. I think that's an even more satisfying.
Because I think Zombie is more like a dance floor tune as well, because everyone knows how the song goes. The song was like one of the best songs I think that are ever done. Like the lyrics are great, melody lines are like superb. So making a song like that is, you know, amazing for the people to experience live. But as a musician, as an artist yourself, I think you always just want to write original stuff that has the same impact, or at least tries to get the same impact as that song.
I wonder, we had him on the podcast. I didn't think we asked him, what are you more proud of? Like Living for the Moment or Zombie, for example, because it's your own voice, your own lyrics, you know, and they sing along to both songs, you know. But obviously, Zombie is like one of the biggest hits.
Exactly. You know? No, I don't think you should look at it in a way. I mean, there are different ways of looking at that song, because if you look at it in a way as like the song that unites so many people and even I think open up a lot of doors in terms of art style for certain regions in you know, the festival scenes in different countries and stuff like that. But if you look at it as an original piece of music, no, it's not original. So I mean, it's a different way of looking at like.
I think he is still happy with the song regardless.
For sure. I mean, if I made it, I would be happy too.
And he should be. But it's more like as an artist or something, you know. It's I think even more satisfying when you write your own lyrics and people sing to that, because it's all you.
Still, in the end, how it's done defines the results. Of course.
No.
Because a lot of other producers could have picked the same song.
And would be shit.
Yeah, exactly. And you also need to time it right. I mean, if you bootleg like a song, it needs to be like, I mean, it needs to be known enough, but still not should be cheesy. Like if you just pick a random radio hit and make like a bootleg tune out of it, it can come off like really cheap and really like you're trying to sell out. While Zombie was such a good approach of that song in hardstyle version that, I mean, everyone should, and I think everyone does respect it in a way.
Yeah. I think that was also a goal for us to make like almost the ultimate cheesy song into a cool Ghost Stories vibe with Sweet Dreams. Like, I mean, Sweet Dreams has been overdone in every music scene so much. And but still we found a way to make it more special than just
if you look at those lyrics, they were so pretty special as well. But it was such a huge hit do you know that song was released like 5 years before it originally became a hit? It's like released 3 times, did nothing, and then all of a sudden the third
amazing big classic.
Sometimes it just needs something special,
the right timing.
Pop,
and that's the thing. Maybe we can also look back at that. What if we release these songs in quarantine that are going to be hits in 5 years?
I mean, who knows? Maybe even more because they listen to it at home, and then when the first festival drops, people go so crazy that
it might just be my neurotic mind, you know, that I'm so I really want to keep everything in hand, you know, like I really feel like, okay, I with all my knowledge of being in the music scene, like I can plan out a lot of stuff, but for now there's no way to look back at something, no handbook, no nothing, no information on how to do stuff, you know, so that could also very well be the case.
I think you think about it a lot of times, which is really good because there's always a vision behind it, but it's hard to
right. It's like you had a great vision that worked amazing, and now it's just gone.
I mean, exactly.
Nowadays you just have, and I kind of like that. Just do, you know, and just see what happens.
But that's the balance.
That's always it doesn't work like I say, and that's the good balance you will have. But I think it will be. I'm so curious what it will be like in a year or something.
Yeah,
where we are.
Just our first 5 shows, man. I'm so looking forward to that.
It doesn't matter.
It's crazy.
Or can you imagine Climax being the first party? Oh no, your X-Qlusive. Sorry, your X-Qlusive being the first party, but after that, just Climax. It will be like that.
Well, but that's the tricky part because I think Climax is one of the events with the most different nationalities.
Yeah.
And that's really...
Yeah, I think they even said, I'm not sure if it was literal, but I think I heard somewhere that half of all the tickets that are sold at Climax from
even more
not from the Netherlands,
70% or something.
Yeah. I'm a bit afraid, but I also have high hopes because I start to feel like with all the data that's building up that the category we are all in is not really a big risk factor in this whole coronavirus, And I think with all the data being gathered at the moment, I feel and hope that there's gonna be a way that these parties in the last couple of months of the year are gonna happen because.
So when you're too old, you can go.
Yeah, maybe say like everybody above 50 should stay in the same like quarantine and everything,
or they should take the responsibility themselves to to stay inside if they are a risk or at risk. And I think, that's a thing that's a very utopian way of looking at it because you just know that not everyone's going to be so responsible to it. But maybe,
but they're also the ones that suffer the most of it if they don't.
Yeah,
And
sometimes you're like, if that's the case, and these people take the risk, then they took the risk themselves.
Yeah.
But that's also really hard to look at because you need to take care of these people. So
that's the consequence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
but we also give them a car and alcohol, and if people go into a car drunk, then they also take the risk to drive someone else dead.
Yeah.
And it's not like we say, okay, no more cars.
No.
So it's really the way of thinking. I can imagine that all the governments took responsibility right now to put everyone in quarantine and make sure everyone's safe for now. But with all the data you're getting now, man. And also the people are getting more wise,
Yeah, but like, imagine the task you have if you need to figure this out in a way.
So happy that I'm not a politician or anything.
But I always gather information based on knowledge.
Yeah.
And all the...
So you're not like a 5G guy?
I don't really think...
I think that was one of the... it's sad, but it was also so funny for... now we're getting a lot of hate of plot theories.
Yeah, but the thing
but the thing is that they set on fire like a big thing that was supposed to be no 5G, like a...
tower, like
transmission
tower in Holland.
But it was like a 4G.
Yeah, and there was also a funny story. What I heard was that the fact that everyone with these antennas, some people are just scared of them for whatever reason, and now they have like something to blame on. But I read as well somewhere on a big tower, they put a new antenna on top of there, and then the people started complaining like, I've got a lot of headaches, I don't sleep that well because of the antenna on top and stuff like that, and the antenna was shut off.
Yeah.
So how did people are sometimes just scary of stuff they can't see.
Yeah, but I also think people have a lot of time at the moment, and time also doesn't do good,
But imagine, we are all, I think, we are all still occupied, and I think we are in some way, pretty. A guy of knowledge, so to say. But imagine if you're singing at home and you have like this same kind of like out of your comfort zone situation, and you lost your job and stuff like that. That can get really depressing. So you can also get more prone to weird situations as well at that point.
Of course, I think also those times you always will have people who are struggling with depression and all. And if you're like not feeling well, it's a lot easier to blame things. To
blame it on someone else than yourself.
Yeah, than yourself.
Exactly.
there's a lot of time right now, and there's a lot of things going on, bad things. You're not able to work. You're got stress from money,
it's
for your
completely
home.
out of your control.
Yeah,
and,
you can't do nothing about it.
everything is in reach with the internet nowadays. If you had like the same pandemic 20 years ago,
it was completely completely different.
Yeah. But anyways, I hope everybody will figure out. And just
it's such a difficult discussion as well, because the people truly believe these things, while I truly believe that it's not about these things. So it's almost a religion stuff, you know. Like,
I think it is religion.
How can you tell someone that believes in a God, for example, that his God doesn't exist in your opinion, you know? So it's...
that's the same, because I think like maybe it is as well that in the last 30, 40 years, a lot of people stopped being religious because they wanted to decide for themselves. And now they decide these things for themselves and they believe in it. And if someone believes in it, I mean, you can't really, change their opinion, even with facts.
And people want to have a team, or
they want to believe in something together.
Believe in something together, or be part of a thing or a group or a cult, or that's. Yeah, I think
because maybe it can also be, I mean, putting the whole 5G thing aside, it's also interesting that you are kind of like this rebellious group that are, saving the world with putting all these antennas on fire. I mean, I can understand that these people...
responsibility.
Yeah.
But that's also when a new artist comes along and that nobody knows. And you're with a really small group who knows that artist. It's like a really cool artist and like, it's my little secret. And then all of a sudden that artist grows really big and your little sister... or your brother, which completely different than you, dresses different than you. They really love that artist as well. And you're like, nah, it's not for me anymore. He's turned to commercial and all.
The artist itself is just trying his best.
Yeah. Exactly. So
he
that's
just reaches a big audience.
Yeah. But it's not your secret anymore, not your cult, not your thing.
It's not like the artist changed, but your perception of the artist changed.
Yeah. And that perception is the thing that kind of makes the artist. And that's why I mean creating a persona for you as an artist as well is very important. And I mean that persona can be just you yourself, but can also be something else, because the perception is going to create, I think, the emotion as well when they listen to you or see you or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. Yeah.
I mean, it's also when you listen to a song, when I tell you listen to this shitty song.
Yeah,
you listen to a song completely different.
And she said, "Listen to this amazing."
As I would say, listen to this song; it's so good. You're like, even if you hate it, you're like, maybe I gotta listen to it a few more times. You know, it's perception is everything.
Exactly, and that perception is, I think, a big part of good marketing in music as well nowadays.
Yeah,
if you market your music well, the perception is going to be different. And maybe people will feel different about it than they would have normally if you just released it without any campaign around it, so to say.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why there's marketing. Otherwise, nobody would.
Nobody would do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can also say marketing is something, what I hear from a lot of guys is about these moments of contact with people. So you need to reach as many people as you can. But reaching as many people as you can is not necessarily always the goal, because creating that perception is for music much more important than reaching as much people as you can. Because that's what I'm trying to say. As in, I mean, the perception is way more important than reaching as many people as you can. So if you make a very serious song, but you put a ridiculous meme on it, and there's an insane reach, but it can fucking ruin the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same with our podcast, actually. Like, it also states in some info online, like having one podcast listener equals like 1,000 listeners to the radio, because people just put the radio online and have it as a background, but people who are listening to this podcast are like sitting there for the whole 90 minutes listening to every word you say.
Like super engaged.
It's less engagements in number, but the amount of engagement is
the numbers are stronger. Individually.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I like that, just to have that balance, just having some depth. And that's why we're doing this podcast, because we're not the guys on social media just look, hey, we're doing this. Or
we're just posting memes for the sake of it.
And there's nothing wrong with it if it's your thing, but it's not our thing,
No, and that's how you create the perception for your act.
Yeah.
And that's the same for me. I don't do a lot of posting in general, but also, doing my timeline design in the way that it's the album artwork is going to be like in a way is also generating as well a perception for the people what they're going to expect.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to create a good experience is also nowadays creating a good social media presence around what you're doing as a persona.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we have some more questions or are we going to the statement?
I think the statement.
Yeah, it's time for a statement. We always do a statement. We don't know what it is.
Talks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's more than 2 hours, I think.
Almost 2.
Almost
2. Wow, time flies.
A statement of this episode. COVID-19 will show artists can be relevant without public events.
Well, let's say I agree and I hope that's the case because otherwise my album's going to be ruined.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think music will always be there, even without festivals or parties. So artists can be relevant, except if you're only a DJ and you're not making music. But
yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. There are artists that are dead for 20 years already, and their music still lives on. So, I mean, it depends on how you see it as an artist, like being on shows. But like the name of an artist will live on forever. Regardless, any pandemic or any storm.
I mean, in general, I listen to a lot of artists that I really love, but I never was able to go to a show of them, but I still love them. So, I mean, it's going to be the same case for us. I mean, if we probably won't be able to fly to Australia in the coming months, but what I can see is that it's just as alive as it ever was over there as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a sign, right?
Yeah, I think so too. That's a positive end of this conversation. Really interesting conversation. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was really nice. And thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode. And we're still really curious what you guys think about the whole situation, releasing music. What do you want to see? So let us know because we do it for us, but also for you guys. It's really important. For you, I really, really hope that your X-Qlusive goes.
And we're curious to hear your album
and can't wait to hear and see all the things of your album. Thank you for being here and
stay safe and
stay safe.
See you next month on a new episode.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
Music Man.